Well, you know who's not making the Super Bowl? Drew Brees. It's looking like it's the end. In terms of old quarterbacks, where do you think Drew Brees ranks?
Where do we have MAGA Drew Brees rated? All right, so I think it's pretty clear to me. I'm
45,
probably
right?
yeah, that's a good one, bro.
That's what that just sinks in on you.
All right, so when you look back at his career, he started in 2001. Um, and honestly, he's had some very stiff competition. I think it's very clear. I mean, like, yeah, some stat heads might disagree with me because he's like either first or second in most statistical categories, but I think that's mainly due to just longevity. That's a huge part of it. But when you look at it, it's like how many years was he actually a top tier quarterback or a top in the running for a top quarterback in the MVP race even? Was he ever really in the Tom Brady Peyton Manning class? Because the argument was always Tom Brady Peyton Manning. That was the rivalry. Drew Brees was never anywhere close to that. So you got to put both of those guys above him. He played longer than Peyton Manning. He's got a higher throwing completion percentage because half his passes come from behind the line of scrimmage, so it inflates his numbers. But then you look at a guy like Aaron Rodgers, and personally, I mean, other than Pat Mahomes, he might be the greatest quarterback I have ever witnessed. Yeah, his career kind of falls short. He only has one Super Bowl, and he seems to get injured quite a bit. But when you look at him, he's an absolutely amazing player, and he's it seems like he's been in the running multiple times for being the best quarterback in the league, including this year. So I would have to put those three above him. There isn't really anyone else that I would put above Drew Brees, so I would probably have him rated at 4 in his generation.
I think four is respectable.
Yeah.
Like not too controversial. Isis, is that kind of where you're putting him for?
No, I am happy to disagree with Alan on this
Yikes.
debate. Um, I think he falls more into like the fifth slash like more like the sixth. I think you can make an argument for the fifth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus. I need to hear this one.
Yeah. Let's
So
analyze this one.
so no doubt he's great in the regular season. He's put up so many not points, I'm sorry, yards, touchdowns, whatever. But like so has Tom Brady. And it's like the only reason they have really been putting up those big numbers is because how long they have played and the transition from a not passing league to a more pass heavy league. If we're only going off of stats, then he is the best quarterback of all time. But like the NFL just doesn't stop at the regular season. Like I like to use the championship argument because like he's only been to one Super Bowl where you have Peyton Manning who's been to 3, Tom Brady's been to 9, Eli Manning's been to 3,
2.
I'm sorry, 2. I'm stupid. Ben Roethlisberger's been to 3. He's won 2, and you got all these older quarterbacks who have played long in the NFL, but they've won multiple Super Bowls and they've been to multiple Super Bowls. Drew Brees has not been able to do that, and it's not like he's been playing with scrub players most of his career. Like he has had good teams mostly since his Super Bowl run in 2009. So we're going on 11 years where he's had top talent, a good defense, a great head coach, and he still can't manage to get back into the Super Bowl.
And there's always an excuse for it too.
Yeah, like when the Rams won, there was the
one of the Vikings things.
Yeah, one of the Vikings things. And it's just like maybe if you were as elite as people are making you out to be, then you wouldn't be in that situation to where it comes down to one play or it comes down to the refs making a bad call. Like if you're so great, then just shut everyone up and just put the other team to bed. He hasn't been able to do that in his career. He hasn't been able to get back to the Super Bowl. And to be honest with you, he may not even won that Super Bowl if Sean Payton didn't kick that onside kick, and if Peyton Manning didn't throw that pick six.
Mhm.
We may even talk about him never winning a Super Bowl. So, like, was he the biggest part of winning that Super Bowl? I don't think so.
Yeah, people forget that onside kick was the reason why Peyton Manning was on the sideline for like 2.5 hours during that game.
Right.
So he came out, he was firing on all cylinders initially in the game, and then he was rusty. And then the offense fell flat, and then the Saints took advantage.
And it's like,
Yep.
I can't say like that's just like the greatest of all time. And yeah, he's had so many 5,000 yard seasons.
Oh, and they had to kill Brett Favre to get there.
Yeah, and their head coach was gone, not gone, but suspended the whole year.
Yeah.
So just like, playing dirty, does that get you in? I mean, they had a really good defense. When they went to the Super Bowl, they were never able to get back there, and I think it had a lot to do with Drew Brees. I think people figured him out in the playoffs, and it's just he never was able to get back. You got to win Super Bowls in order to like be considered an all-time great. That's why I got to put him at like 6.
So after like Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, who do you have over him? Big Ben.
Big Ben, Eli.
Oh, man.
Even though Ben Roethlisberger is an alleged rapist,
oh no,
and porn addict, he's been to 3 Super Bowls, and he went toe to toe with Aaron Rodgers in that Super Bowl.
Yeah, but his wins. I mean, he was young. He wasn't the Big Ben that we know right now. He was carried by that defense. It was like Tom Brady in his early years. So I mean, I can't put that over a guy like Drew Brees, who has just been in the league dominating for so long.
Yeah, but like the way that he won those Super Bowls, like that, 2-minute drill that he did was clutch. Yeah. Like that pass to Santonio Holmes, just like
that's true.
He literally had to put that in the perfect spot in order for that catch to be made, and he did it. And he was moving. He could move around in the pocket. I mean, you can't do that now, but I mean, like if you would have to. Drew Brees would have had to have gone to 2 Super Bowls in order for him to be above Big Ben in that situation. Like you can't take away 2 Super Bowl wins and 3 appearances from a guy who's
you have a legitimate
played almost as long.
Right there.
Yeah,
but Eli Manning, bro, that one's just off key.
Eli Manning, no doubt, was trash for most of his career, but he was able to do something that Drew Brees hasn't been able to do: win 2 Super Bowls. And make it to 2 Super Bowls. Like the guy's undefeated in the Super Bowls.
So if Peyton Manning retired before the Broncos, you would have put Eli Manning over Peyton Manning?
I would have to.
I mean, if that's your argument and you're going to be consistent, I respect that. But I just feel like objectively, it's not even close for those 2 guys. So I feel like that argument is just flawed in general to just go based on Super Bowls.
But like, the thing with Payne, if he never went to the Broncos, then he would never have gone to a 3rd Super Bowl. Oh no, he went to 4 Super Bowls.
Yeah, he went to 4 Super Bowls, 2 with the Broncos.
2 with the Broncos. He would never have gone there 4 times. Like you can't take basically half of his career. Not half of his career, but like you know what I'm saying. Like half of his accomplishments.
Yeah.
Like you can't take that away and then say, well, then who's gonna win? Like at that point, he'd been 1-1 in the Super Bowl. He would only have made it there 2 times. If he was supposed to be the greatest quarterback of all time, he should have been able to get his team in there more, even though the Colts are a poverty franchise.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I mean, he had one of the most winningest franchises during his time in Indy. And if that injury was actually that severe and he retired early, I feel like that draws a huge red flag because they go to dinner. Archie is kind of sitting there out. Or Archie is there, and then who the hell is the brother?
Oh, the third brother.
Yeah, who's the loser that just sits in the corner and just doesn't say a
Well,
word?
he was
Cooper
paralyzed.
Manning.
Yeah, he's not a loser. He was like literally paralyzed.
All right,
from the waist
imagine
down.
being Cooper and going to like Christmas dinner with Eli and Peyton while they're talking about their Super Bowls, and he's like, "Oh, well, I coach girls soccer." So you're
mean-
telling me a lie?
Wait, so first off, before you finish, why are you putting shade on girls soccer?
Just
You're
saying,
not
bro.
you're not very woke.
Yeah,
you're
it's true.
sounding like MAGA Allen.
MAGA Allen.
Maybe that's why I have Drew Brees 2 spots ahead of you.
Yeah.
So, but like you're telling me, like let's say theoretically, Peyton Manning retired after the neck surgery. You're telling me he goes to dinner with the fam, and everybody's talking about Eli's achievements. They're not like they're more focused on Eli because he is the superior brother. You think he's the one that's getting more attention, or is it Peyton Manning because he was actually like an all-time great?
Theoretically speaking, let's say Drew Brees never won that Super Bowl. Are we having this conversation right now?
Well, I mean, Peyton Manning, he was carried in that Super Bowl. First of all,
So was Drew Brees. We already established that.
well, Drew Brees still played a hell of a game.
But I'm just saying,
It wasn't
if we're talking,
just because of an onside kick. Like we can't just gaslight everything that he's done.
It was an onside kick and a pick six.
And that was a great season. And he had a 7-point lead before the pick six, which made it a 2-possession game. So, I mean, Drew Brees did have a great game and an amazing season and just amazing run in general.
But we were talking in theoreticals. You're saying theoretically, if Peyton Manning stopped playing after his neck injury.
Yeah.
So theoretically speaking, if Drew Brees did not win that Super Bowl, are we having this conversation? You're not answering that question. We can't talk in theoreticals when we're talking
I would
about
still,
the now.
Like he would keep the same stats.
Same stats, no Super Bowl. Super Bowl loss. 0-1.
I would still put him over Eli Manning. Without a doubt in my head.
So he's still fourth.
That's when I would put Big Ben over him.
Okay, so then Super Bowls do matter to you.
I think the lack of having a Super Bowl is what does it.
So Super Bowls matter to you.
Well, like
if you're Eli Manning beat probably the greatest team of all time.
Yeah.
I think that in itself furthers his case. But yeah. I still don't think it's Peyton over Eli.
All right, so you're gonna put Nick Foles over.
I mean, I'm not putting
Yes.
Peyton. I'm not putting Peyton over Eli right now.
And you're not putting Big Ben over Aaron Rodgers. Or are you?
Are you?
I would have to think. I would have to think.
You don't have to think about that.
I mean, Big Ben was a baller in his early years.
So you're telling me
they're kind of the same. They're kind of the same type of player because they both tend to get injured during the season. And Big Ben has been able to do a little bit more than what Aaron Rodgers has been able to do.
But I think we're holding Aaron to a different standard just because he has the most insane arm talent that we've ever seen.
But going back to the debate,
at least I do. At least that's why I have him third in that generation.
I mean, for my argument, I'm not going all on just stats. Like, I'm also going into postseason success because that is what drives Hall of Famers. You're not Eli Manning gets into the Hall of Fame strictly on those 2 Super Bowls.
So you're going to put Troy Aikman over Peyton Manning?
Troy Aikman was on great teams.
So now it matters?
But Drew Brees was also on great teams.
I mean, early on in his career, he was on some horrible teams.
I think what Elias is trying to say here is the common denominator here is championships. Am I correct? Is that what you're trying to say here?
Yeah, you have yes, each situation is different, but if you do look at the quarterbacks of that generation, they all were able to get to Super Bowls and they were all able to win Super Bowls. multiple times. Drew Brees hasn't been able to do that. Like a good quarterback is like you look at him and his championships more than anything else. Like Peyton Manning, he doesn't have the great, like he has like top 3 numbers, right? But like you're not just looking at those numbers, like you're just looking at the type of player that he was. And like Drew Brees, yes, has the best numbers, but he wasn't the best quarterback.
Well, the thing was, like with Peyton, which makes this debate interesting, is that he didn't have a great playoff record. He had like 3 games over his 3 wins over his losses. Was carried in that second Super Bowl. Like he was just a ghost of himself at that point, and then rode off in the sunlight. So I mean, like if you're looking at that, then you're looking at like a guy like Troy Aikman who has what is it, 4, 5? You know, like you're looking at guys like that who are clearly worse. Like they're not as influential. They didn't put up the numbers. They were carried by the team. But then you're looking at the Super Bowl rings and you're like, oh, well, like he was part of this dynasty. If you're putting so much weight on the rings, I feel like it changes. Because like I'm not gonna put Eli Manning over Aaron Rodgers. I would never.
I'm not either.
I would never put fucking.
No, but that's not the argument here. It's not championships are the exclusive factor.
You just said it. You literally, Kunal, just said like he's weighting it more than anything.
I'm saying that's the common denominator in the situation because we're talking about great quarterbacks minus Phil Rivers, who's also part of this generation, right?
Yeah, he's part of it.
Like we're talking about great quarterbacks, all of whom achieved fantastic things in their career. What's the one thing they all have in common? And it's not, hey, let's rank exclusively by championships, but let's make that a factor as well into the situation.
See, it's a huge factor, but like there's also guys that like just never could get it done. Like you have the Jim Kellys, the Dan Marinos, and they're still all-time greats.
Right.
But they're not to the extent that these players are. Like Jim Kelly never won a Super Bowl, right? He's going to only be known for going 0-4 in the Super Bowl, right?
And revolutionizing the K-gun offense and leading a team to 4 straight Super Bowls in a dynasty.
But then losing those 4. Like you don't.
I just
you
feel
don't
like
bring up Jim. You don't
talk
bring up
to
Jim
anyone
Kelly.
that remembers Jim Kelly. They're not going to tell you that like Eli Manning is the better quarterback.
You talk to anyone who remembers Jim Kelly. First of all, they're
going to say Payne.
I was going to say they're ardently a Bills fan, and they call him the greatest quarterback of all time.
Well, he was just amazing. He revolutionized the no-huddle offense, and that's the reason why Peyton was doing what he was doing.
The only thing that's going to be on his tombstone is Jim Kelly 0-4 in the Super Bowl.
And cancer survivor.
Well,
and K-gun offense.
No, it's going to be okay. The first thing 0-4 in the Super Bowl.
I just feel like it's disrespectful to guys that would deserve it more than just the people that were on fun runs with really good teams.
So answer this question. Drew Brees found himself to 1 Super Bowl, and you claim that Eli Manning is a trash quarterback, right? Is that what you're saying?
I don't think he was trash. I thought he was a good quarterback, but okay. I don't think he was like a legend or something.
Okay. So why can Eli Manning find himself to 2 Super Bowl wins, yet Drew Brees has found himself for only 1, playing more seasons and potentially being on better teams? Because the last 5 years of Eli Manning's career, he was on trash teams. But Drew Brees has had a good team around him for most of his career with the Saints. Just with the Saints, right? And he has found himself to 1 Super Bowl.
I mean, there's many factors that come to play because luck was a huge factor. That defense was amazing. Along with that, like Eli Manning, he was just never consistently good. He was never a guy like he could put up 4,000 yards, but he was never a guy that like really stuck out to you.
And he was still able to win 2 Super Bowls, and he was still able to lead his team to 2 Super Bowls, something that Drew Brees has not been able to do. He's been able to do it once. He's a one-hit wonder.
I just don't I get it. You're waiting the Super Bowls. But then we bring up the guys that haven't won it. Then we're bringing up the guys that have won a bunch, like Troy Aikman. You said, oh, he was part of an amazing team. He was carried. Like, I don't know where the argument stops.
So first off, the argument is his generation, right?
Yeah.
So we need to only look at his generation of quarterbacks. His generation.
But then when you bring up the other factors, it just doesn't make any sense.
But we're bringing up factors that don't apply to the argument. The argument is his generation of quarterbacks, and I'm giving you his generation of quarterbacks, and you're bringing two quarterbacks who were not in his generation.
I'm bringing up quarterbacks in other generations to give you a good basis on why the argument is stupid. But for this generation.
But that's not. So this generation of quarterbacks is different from the last generation. So why are we bringing up last generation? Let's talk about this generation.
Because it's still the same argument. It's just in a different generation. It's proving that the championships shouldn't be weighed as much. Because Eli Manning, he went on 2 really fun runs, but he wasn't that good of a quarterback. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He'll be remembered for what? Being lucky?
Yeah.
That's like what he's going to be remembered for. Drew Brees, we're going to remember him for having insane stats, Super Bowl champion, bringing happiness to New Orleans.
Straight after Hurricane Katrina, by the way, which I think is like, he completed a whole storybook narrative there. I think that factors in as well.
So did Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning brought love and cheer to the Denver city. So did Eli Manning. He brought joy and laughter to New York City. I'm
just imagining Peyton and Eli in a sled like Santa Claus, just like
it's subjective though.
Here's happiness for you. The story of how a Super Bowl is won or how how a season goes about should not go into how great a player is. It should be about what happens on the field. No doubt he has great stats. Don't get me wrong, it's great stats. But stats should not be the biggest factor in how you determine a quarterback. A quarterback's greatness.
I don't either, because I weight Super Bowls differently though. Tom Brady. I don't value his first 3 Super Bowls all that much because he had a game-winning drive, was asked the rest of the game. Then he was carried by his amazing defense in the other 2. And then he went on a 10-year drop-off of just losing Super Bowls. So, yeah, I don't weight those Super Bowls all that much. But then what he did at the end was when I was like, wow, he is the GOAT. He just really put himself way over everybody because the Super Bowls that he won were just weighted so insanely more than a lot of other quarterbacks' Super Bowls, in my opinion. So I weight Super Bowls differently. I also like to look at stats. Longevity is also a pretty important thing for me. Drew Brees was able to do this for so long and not really slow down, which is just ridiculous. Influence is also something I look for. Clutchness, that's always a factor. There's many different factors. You are weighting yours completely differently.
Yeah. I don't believe that a regular season quarterback who puts up great numbers in the regular season should matter all that much.
Yeah, I think the regular season counts. But I'm a Colts fan, so that's why I would think that.
Okay, cool. Somebody was able to put up numbers in the regular season, but when it matters, he wasn't able to do that. And that's how you should determine someone's greatness. They were able to do it in the Super Bowl when it matters the most. Or they were able to do it in the playoffs when it matters the most. Not Drew Brees. He's 6.